Right guys, as you can see here, I have the Hobbyking Ridge Ryder glider. Nice little glider for slope soaring, and once you get the weight correct, really punches through the air quite fine. The only problem with it is that it has quite a few small design faults. What I've actually done to my glider is, with these which are standard barbecue skewers, I've had to reinforce certain parts of the glider. Hence you can see down in the front here, at this point here, and also on the other side as well, is where I've actually pushed a skewer through, which will go straight away down through the frame to about this point here. This bar doesn't actually go all the way through the glider, it actually just goes below the skin, so it's a good point to actually push the skewer in as far as you can. It took me a couple of attempts to get it in straight, but once you've got the position, pull it out with a piece of pliers and then just smear a bit of CA glue on the stick and then push it in, and it makes it nice and strong. You can also do the same with the front as well, just at that point there, making sure that you push it all the way through and up underneath the polystyrene up to about there, just before the ballast tubes. Also, just underneath a velcro strip that I put here is one of these stirring sticks that you can pick up at McDonald's or Costa's or anywhere like that, and that is glued in with Evo stick 2-in-1 adhesive. Also, what is a good point to do is the winglets are very fragile, so therefore the same procedure as before. You can see I've actually pushed a skewer straight in through, and which then goes underneath the frame and straight in to the main bodywork. So it actually then comes through here and down to about this point here, and then cut off there and sanded down with a Dremel or a bit of sandpaper. Also at this point here, which runs straight away through the body of the wing tip, it goes straight up into that point there. As far as you can push it up into it is a normal cocktail stick, which you can buy a pack of them at Tesco's for about 85p. Then just cut it off. That gives a nice lot of support to the winglet, makes it nice and strong, and then with the skewer, barbecue skewer going in here as well, gives this winglet a lot of strength once it's glued in place. Also, to make a bit more security for the winglet, I cut a channel down through this point here and then glued a piece of carbon fibre rod into the inside, and then put a nice piece of black masking tape over the top of it to hold it in place. That makes the wing tips virtually indestructible when bouncing about on slopes in strong winds. Also, another good idea to do as well with your Ridge Ryder is, even though you've got this lovely carbon fibre spar that runs right away along the edge of the actual glider itself, another weak point is at this back point here, and if you sustain a knock on the actual wing like I did, it will crack down this point here if you're not careful. So therefore I bought off of eBay a 1.5mm piece of carbon rod, which will just go through quite nicely and bend round to form a nice piece of reinforcing, glued in with a piece of CA glue, and then covered over with some nice tape afterwards, to maintain and hold it in place. Also, the other good thing to do is on these tips here, where the carbon fibre rods are, these are also a weak point with regards to the glider, so just put an extra piece of CA glue in the end there to hold it in place, because as these are obviously made in China, there isn't a lot of attention done on maintaining this here. Also, one of the other modifications I did as well was this here. I went to my local hobby shop and bought some red sticky back vinyl and then copied the actual original red markings, because all of the transfers all peel off at this point here. Looks very untidy, and also this part here, which is designed to hold the carbon fibre strip in place, the carbon fibre breaks loose because the transfers are only water adhesive transfers, so therefore put nylon sticky back plastic over this to give it a nice finish, and also to give it a bit more strength. One of the other weak points as well, which has been highlighted on YouTube and on the internet, is the along here where the actual aileron meets with the body is very, very weak. So therefore I put some small cloth hinges, model aircraft hinges, actually cut in with a scalpel to about this point here and to that point there, slotted them in with CA, one at that point there and also one on this end as well, because these tend to take a bit of a knock when you're flying. As you can see, that was the weak point there, where I reinforced the back here with a carbon fibre rod, because it took a bang on the winglet here. The winglet didn't break, the winglet stayed in place, but it cracked the wing at this point here. So some CA on there, and then put the rod in the back. Now this glider is virtually indestructible. One of the other good things to do as well, which you saw earlier on when I put the rods through the skewers in the front to give it some strength, was that I mixed up some epoxy resin, Evo stick epoxy resin glue, the 2-in-1 stuff, this stuff here, the rapid epoxy syringe adhesive, and smeared it quite thickly over the front. This stuff takes about 5 minutes to dry, then leave it overnight. It hides, it gives a bit of strength to the rods that you've pushed through, and then also makes a nice strong nose section. So basically, to recap, these rods have been pushed through the polystyrene to about this point here, either side. One has also been pushed through the front, right up underneath, and in here there's one of these stirrers that you get at McDonald's and any Burger King or places like that, or Costa's, and that fits in just underneath there, all held in with the epoxy resin glue. Makes a really, really strong glider. Once you've done those small modifications, this glider flies absolutely awesome with the zippy 700 milliamp battery. But as you can see, these car weights, which you can pick up from ATS or any car dealers, these, as you can see, my battery weighs about 41 grams, and I've got a further 55 grams on top of it, which puts nicely in the front on the Velcro strip. There is 52 grams of weight in the tubes from the weights that come supplied, plus an extra 5 grams. With all those modifications done to the glider and that weight that it's on, the glider will fly lovely in winds of up to 23 miles an hour. So obviously, being a slope soaring glider, the more wind there is, the more extra weight you're going to need to add. You can take the weight down. I've had this glider flying at our local slope in winds less than 10 mile an hour, with 20 grams of weight in the back and 20 grams of weight in the front, and it flies very, very nicely. So hope you enjoy what I've done with regards to the modifications, and hopefully that might help you and help your Ridge Ryder glider survive a lot more bangs and knocks. Thank you very much for watching.